What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Magic Forest. Today we're going to be talking about growing mushrooms the size of your head. Let's do it. What's going on, everybody? David Rinaldi here, and welcome to the Magic Forest. Today we're going to be talking about growing gigantic mushrooms inside of this container right here. These are the wine cap mushrooms, also known as King Stropharia, also known as the garden giant. These are very beneficial mushrooms as far as health goes. They're just like a portobello that you'd get from the store, and they grow anywhere from a small size up to a gigantic size. Now, I found this technique on Paul Stamets' YouTube channel, where he was showing that he was growing these mushrooms inside of old restaurant containers. So I wanted to replicate that, and I realized that there's a whole lot of benefits to having this system located on your property. Now, this could be in the backyard of a house, it could be in the alley of a restaurant, it could be next to an apartment complex. You can have this system anywhere. As long as you could fit a 4x4 bin, you can have mushrooms pretty much for the rest of your life. The technique to growing these inside of the bin is actually very easy, and the benefits are many. You can have mushrooms that you can sell the substrate, the wood chips, and help other people propagate their own. So the system itself pays for itself. And I only spent a couple $100s on all of the parts and all of the necessary things to make this happen. So as far as an investment goes, you buy it once and you've got it the rest of your life. After all, the bin is mobile and you'll be able to take it with you wherever you live. So you're going to be not only getting a healthy mushroom, but you're also going to be able to utilize it economically, and you can also use it throughout the rest of your garden. You can throw it around underneath your fruit trees and increase the amount of mushrooms you can grow, which also helps the fungal network for the tree so that it can get more nutrients to its roots. Let's show you all the parts that you're going to need, and let's get growing these big mushrooms. Alright guys, first thing you're going to need is a IBC tote. IBC tote. They're a chemical grade, don't get those. Get the food grade. This one I think had vanilla in it. It comes with a little bit higher up cage and then a rounded top. A lot of people use them to capture rainwater. I cut the top off with a saw and kind of made it a little bit easier to get in for all the wood chips and for the mushrooms to be able to grow. And then I also took a Sawzall, or you can use an angle grinder, and cut off the rest of the cage, just one box up, so that way it's, again, more accessible. I also filed away the metal edges, that way nobody cuts themselves or rips clothing on it. There's also a drain on the other side. That drain is pretty important. You're going to want to leave that open, so that way as it rains into the wood chips, the moisture is able to get in there, but it's not going to get waterlogged and eventually overflow and be too heavy or anything like that. Another thing that I did is I painted it, just a simple brown color so that it sort of blends in with the trees and other natural elements here. The final thing that I did is I put it on some concrete blocks that I got from Lowe's, and also put some leveling sand underneath that. That way, as it sits on there and the weight from the wood chips and the moisture that's going to be in there, it'll settle into the ground, but not sink and get stuck in the mud. Some other things you're going to need are a tarp to use as a chute to get the wood chips into the IBC tote. I'm going to hold those onto it with zip ties. I don't really have any strings that are kind of strong enough to hold it, so I'll use zip ties. Another resource that you're going to be using are wood chips. Wood chips can be gotten for free from your local arborist or from a website called chipdrop.com. It's always good to tip the driver. This is yet another resource that would have ended up in a landfill that you're diverting back into being a functional element, not only within your garden, but within the planet itself. The last thing you're going to need is your mushroom substrate. This is sawdust that's inoculated with the fungus. The fungus is growing inside of the wood chips and eating the wood shavings. So these wood shavings will be added with the wood chips themselves and some leaves and straw and permeate through all of that and basically eat all of that as time goes on. A few times a year, that organism will sprout mushrooms. Now comes the fun part. I got to try to get these wood chips onto the tarp and shoot them into the tote. So you want to get a good look here, this is what you'll see. There's white fibers going through here. That's the fungus itself. And it permeates through whatever organism it's decomposing. And so in this case, it's the straw and the wood chips and this sawdust. So I'm going to spread it everywhere. Now we're going to fill the rest of it up, another third, and then add the other bag of the mushroom mycelium. Well, there you have it. The heavy lifting's done. Now comes the hardest part, waiting. Throughout the next year, this mushroom mycelium will permeate through all of the wood chips and create a sort of fake, thick forest floor as its environment. And as the mushrooms are ready to fruit, we'll be seeing giant mushrooms pluming through here because we've given it the extra thick substrate. As I've said, I didn't need to sanitize these mushrooms. This is the wood chips themselves. This is a very easy system that you can implement at home or at your business and in your community. Thanks so much for following along in this episode. I'll be sure to share the progress as it unfolds. Follow along on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and visit us on the website for more in-depth articles and ways to relate to the channel. I appreciate you following along. Best of luck in your endeavors, and together we can create paradise one tree or mushroom at a time. Before you go, one very important thing. I almost killed the fungus right off the bat. And the reason is because when you put 3 feet by 3 feet of organic matter, you're going to get hot compost basically, especially, I mean, at least with wood chips. So it's going to get hot in the center of it, and you're going to cook your fungus. Don't cook your fungus, okay? Dig a hole in there, and it sort of looks like a nice little fungus creature after that. So I decided to name it Lester the Festering Fungus. Don't cook Lester, okay? Dig a hole in there. And the other thing that I did was I actually did end up moving a lot of the mycelium, the fungus itself, the organism, to the top of the wood chip pile so it can establish itself nice and easily, get lots of moisture, and also just not get, compressed in there. So there you go. Don't cook your fungus. Have fun.